Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 32 of the In the 11 podcast, hosted by myself, Brendan Griffiths, and I'm currently recording this to you from Denmark, as many of you know. And so I know the past couple episodes we have been doing a lot of guests and a lot of different cool things. I've really enjoyed those episodes and that content, but I know perhaps some of you may be wondering what's kind of going on over here with me and with Denmark and that whole thing. So I wanted to take this episode to give you another update and kind of talk about what is going on and what the future is going to hold. So let's get it rolling. So, to be honest with everyone listening, I'm going to keep this episode relatively short, just because I'm not really ready to share kind of everything that's going on, the full scope of the picture, but I do want to give you guys kind of an update on what's going on and, like I said, what's happening in the future. So, to recap you, since I've been here since February, I've been training 2 to 3 times a week with this team, and I played in the friendly matches with the team, preseason stuff. I was kind of right in and around the first team, like in and out of the top. The way they do it here is not a top 18, they do like a top 14. So I was right in and around that kind of group. Especially in the beginning, I was performing really well and was kind of on a good run of form when I first got here. And then I think I started to fall off a little bit, just because I mean, like I said, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but it's just been really hard for me out here, I guess, to put it simply, and definitely been struggling a lot just with being very isolated, with it being COVID as well, makes things a bit more complicated, just being all on my own here and kind of dealing with stuff regarding my mental health, I guess you could say, and just kind of being happy and whether I am happy or not while I'm here. It then started to affect how I was performing week in and week out in training, and it was very kind of up and down. And when you come here to be a footballer and that's kind of the sole focus of your intentions and your motivation for being here, when you start to become so entwined with how you're playing, whether it be good or bad, it starts to kind of take over control a little bit. And it's tough to ride that roller coaster, when you go and you have a great training session and you feel like on top of the world, and then when you perform poorly, you feel like your world is crashing down, kind of. So, yeah, I think I've kind of been dealing with those magnitude of different emotions for a while now, and then was just kind of contemplating like what is best for me just personally, whether it be here in Denmark, whether it be elsewhere, whether it be soccer, whether it not. And I haven't made any momentous decision in terms of what I'm going to do in terms of soccer. And like I said, I don't want to get into a lot of details about everything, just because I'm not really ready to share all that. I think when I'm in a better spot and kind of more settled, I'll certainly do some episodes where I go into more detail about everything that I was feeling over here, everything that's going on, just everything in general to kind of keep you guys out of the dark. But So I was, just training, playing the friendlies, doing okay, and then I found out right before, as I mentioned to you guys, right before we were supposed to start our season on April 5th, everything got cleared from the government and we were allowed to start playing matches. But I found out, I think like the day or two before, that my player's license wasn't here yet, or there was a problem with my player's license. And for those of you who have played internationally, you know that in order to play, like FIFA has a registration for every single player in the whole world that's playing in an organized sport, whether it be youth or whether it be professional or amateur. So when I had signed to go to Germany, my player's license was there. Even though I never played a match for them, my player's license was still in Germany, in Bremen. So I guess maybe my club didn't realize that that process needed to be started in order to get me to sign over here, and I think it just got started too late, so I wasn't able to play in the official matches at the start of this season. Haven't been able to play. And again, when you come here for the purpose of playing, and that's, your whole goal, your whole focus, and you can't do that, it's challenging. It's another hurdle, it's another roadblock that you have to take on. And I think while on this podcast I preach a lot about pushing through adversity, and you have to sacrifice more than the next guy, and you got to give up a lot. I think there's a fine line that I am trying to and going to try to more draw going forward, that there's a difference between suffering and sacrifice for a goal and a dream that you want, and then there's just a difference between that and suffering kind of for the sake of suffering, and checking in with yourself to see, like, am I going through this hardship but it's making me happy because I know where it's going to lead me, or am I not happy? And that was just kind of the question that I was battling a lot while I was over here and kind of the past few weeks. I spoke to a lot of different people close to me in my circle and just tried to get some advice on this. And just, being here by yourself, you just have a lot of time to think and a lot of time to soul search, and it really kind of teaches you who you are and what you're made of and what it is that you want. Because I think what I sometimes failed to realize in making this podcast was I'm preaching this idea of chasing the dream, of chasing a goal, chasing being professional, playing soccer at the highest level I can. But at the end of the day, the entire goal of that was to do what makes me happy. And that's what I try and share and enlighten the listeners out there to. Whatever it is that makes you happy, do that. And don't necessarily just follow the status quo because that's what you think or you've been told is what is supposed to happen in your life. And so I started to question, if I'm unhappy here doing this, and is this really still what I want? So, and the answer is, I'm figuring it out. I think it's okay for people to question kind of the path that they're on. I think we all do it every day, or maybe not every day, but often. And I don't know. I think, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to try and keep this short because I think not only do I not want to share everything, I also haven't really kind of put it into one coherent thought. I haven't I haven't fully formulated what my opinion is on everything. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. So I guess basically I had just kind of been battling the decision of like, hey, even though the past however many months when I was at home, I wasn't playing and I thought so badly I needed to get back to Europe and play again, I was still happy being at home, being around people, and still having soccer be a major part of my life, but I wasn't so isolated. And then I came here and I just thought, that's all I need is football. That football will make everything else go away. And it turns out maybe that's not as true as people think, or maybe it's not as true for me as I thought. I think to really have this game be the only thing in your life, as it is kind of for me right now, it's daunting, and it can get exhausting at times, and that you have to really do it in this way. I think you have to love this game so much, and you have to be so strong mentally. It goes without saying, and I don't think I'm a weak person mentally, but I think making a decision that's going to be what's best for me and what's going to be what's best for my happiness and best for my mental health is making a strong decision, is making a strong mental decision, because I'm actively choosing a route where I think I can find a little bit more happiness, at least for right now. And so I don't consider that a weakness or a failure or quitting. But so I guess maybe reading in between the lines, for those of you listening right now, you're kind of thinking, okay, are you leaving Denmark? And the short answer is yes, I am leaving a little bit earlier than I had anticipated. Obviously, for those of you who know, I spoke about kind of the 90-day window and all that sort of stuff. And while that was a few weeks away, I am pushing that up a little bit. And for those of you who are listening to this when it came out on Monday, if you're listening right now, I am currently on a plane. If you're listening to this after Monday or Tuesday or into the week, then I am back home in New York with the fam. I just kind of decided that it was what was best for me and what I needed. And it doesn't mean that it's the end of my career pursuits in this game. There's still some opportunities and some things that I'm looking into back at home, and again, like I just don't know. I don't know what the next chapter is for me. There's a very strong possibility that it's still in this game, and there's a slight possibility that it's not, just because I think while I have been so gung-ho on signing a pro contract, playing at the highest level, I've also started now doing this a couple times, started to understand the emotional toll that this can take on a person doing this, and to understand that in this idea of the chase and the pursuit, that sometimes you can put blinders on and you can not see everything that's going on around you. And I think I've fallen victim to that sometimes, because for the past, I don't know, at this point now, like 6, 7, 8 years maybe, I've just been, everything has revolved around training and especially when I was in college, it was finding the next college that would let me play. And now that I'm pursuing playing, it's always been about finding the next team, finding the next opportunity, finding the next club. And I even started to do it when I first got here. I had trial opportunities, I had trial offers to come into some clubs over here once I got here and got settled. And I just kind of had to stop for a second and just think, man, check in with yourself for a second here and think, are you just driving ahead into a snowstorm, into a blizzard without any idea of what's on the other side? Are you positive that there's a sunny utopia or a sunny oasis for you in particular on the other side of this hardship? So I took a back seat to that and to the trials and that sort of stuff, and I can go into that more later, like I said, in a longer form episode. But I want to, I guess, kind of wrap this up here by saying this episode is not for me to come on in here. This is not, my retirement from the game episode of the podcast. I'm not saying I'm hanging up the boots. I'm not saying that I'm done. I am simply saying that right now I'm making a decision to try and find a little bit more happiness than I've found in these past couple weeks. And for those of you who are very close to me and also listen to this podcast, you know that it hasn't been the easiest thing for the past couple weeks. And I needed to do what feels right. And the past week, where I've known that I'm getting to go home and be around my family on Monday, has been a really great week for me, because I've known I've had that to look forward to, and I think that means something. And so I'm trying to kind of listen to what the universe is telling me and listen more to myself and my heart. And, as cheesy as that sounds, I want to follow my heart a little bit more and just kind of reset and just pause for a second. And so, as I said, there may be some opportunities to keep playing when I get home. And if those come to fruition for me, fantastic. If not, then we'll make a new plan and we'll figure out something new. But what I've learned and kind of where I'm at right now is that I just want to go home and I want to just be in the present for the time being. Just live in the moment and stop always thinking about what is next, because I think sometimes I've just been so focused on what is next that I haven't stopped to smell the roses and stopped to look around at what's happening right now. And I don't want to do that. And maybe it's something that I haven't done a good enough job kind of relaying to you on this podcast about. I've always been so driven and telling you guys, figure out the next trial and the next club and then do this to get there and this to get there. And maybe it's not the perfect advice. I think maybe a better piece of advice is to try and, still work hard to achieve goals and take progressive steps, but to find some joy in where you're at right now as well, and be more mindful of what is making you happy and what isn't, and don't just push ahead and don't just, as I said, just steer into the storm without being conscious of what's on the other side. So yeah, I hope that this episode provided some clarity. I know a lot of these individual episodes can seem as if I'm just kind of ranting into a microphone, but I wanted to give you guys the update. I wanted to kind of to check in with you guys and let you know. So so needless to say, I am headed back. The chapter of the Denmark story is coming to a close for now, and I am headed back to New York to kind of reset and be around the people that make me happy, and that makes me happy, and that I'm very excited for. I will keep you guys, I have an episode coming out for when we can give you guys the update on the podcast. I have an episode coming out next week. It's already pre-recorded, and it is just talking about, it's another guest talking about American soccer and competition and differences between Europe and America and that type of thing. I think it's an awesome episode, so I would ask you to continue listening and check that one out. Also, after that, I don't know yet for the podcast. I might be ready to jump right back into it for the week after. I might take a little bit of a break. I can't make any promises to you guys right now, just because, like I said, I just kind of need to get back and just be at home base for a minute or two and get my bearings. So hopefully things work out with the being able to, go home, play a little footy. Maybe that can be an episode right up to you guys on what that is, what that opportunity is once I am back. But for now, it's just making the decision that's going to make me the most happy. That's what I continue to tell myself is how are you going to make yourself happy? What are you going to do that's going to make you happy? And I think that's kind of a North Star a lot of us should follow, and maybe that's kind of how we should realign the direction of our life is how am I going to get to a place where I'm happier, and then make moves towards that route. I appreciate you guys so much. The audience is growing tremendously, and you guys are sharing the podcast and giving me feedback on it, and I love that, and I appreciate it so much, and I genuinely appreciate you following along my journey, and thank you for being here. So if you can continue to do that, if you can continue to follow, engage with the content, and subscribe to the show and tell your friends about it, I would greatly appreciate that as well. So with that being said, thank you again. This was episode 32, the last one recorded in Denmark, and I'll catch all of you guys soon. Peace.